Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. It is a momentous day for this Punto HGT because it's time for its first MOT. And I'm a little bit nervous because it can fail in one of three areas. So where it definitely can fail is emissions. So when we installed the Super Sprint manifold, that removed the two pre-cats. That's definitely going to have an impact on the emissions. We did install a brand new cat, so it should be okay and it should balance out. But this is the first MOT I've had with the Punto in my ownership, so I just don't know what its quirks are when it's going in for that assessment. So that's definitely one area of concern. Is under here, rust. Now, there's an area essentially near one of the jacking points that is looking a bit crusty and a bit sort of not as solid as it should be. This is an Italian car, it's 20 plus years old, and also I live by the seaside, so there's always going to be some corrosion there, and as long as it's not structural and as long as it's not too close to that jacking point, we should be okay. But I've not been under there with an inspection screwdriver, shall we say, so there's been no sort of major issues on the previous MOTs, but again, old car, Italian, rust, goes together like peaches and cream. Fingers crossed, it should be okay. If not, this is just something that we're going to have to get sorted, and fingers crossed it's not too bad and not like the floor pan is complete garbage. Hopefully it's just going to be patching up the sills a little bit if needed. But next on the list, suspension. Now, it's a little bit creaky and a little bit sort of baggy going around the corners. It's just the original suspension. I don't think there's any major failings there. It's just bushes are starting to get worn. So that is definitely another area of concern because, you know, things like CV boots, control arms, all that sort of stuff are all inspected during the MOT, and that may be an issue here. Again, something I've priced in, and I'd like to do a full suspension refresh, maybe get some coilovers fitted, so it's not a bad thing. You know, any mechanical breakdown is an opportunity to upgrade. But lights, wipers, they're all fine. The rear one does have a little split in it, but hopefully that's just an advisory versus it failing, and if it does fail on a wiper, that's not exactly a big issue. The radiator hose does have a leak near where it basically plugs into the thermostat, but that's not going to be an MOT failure. Worst of that's going to be an advisory, so I'm not too worried there. I hope this passes, but I'm kind of expecting a bit of a fail, mainly because of the rust. But that's the exciting thing about MOTs. You never know what you're going to get. So I think for now, it's time to get in the car, take this car to the MOT station, and collectively cross our fingers. So the car has dropped off, and now we all collectively pray to the MOT gods that our little Punto is going to be road legal for another year without spending too much money. It's a bit noisy on the way back home. Hopefully the new cat should be absolutely fine and road legal. I have no idea why it wouldn't be, but obviously it's an aftermarket one, and you know, because obviously you can't get OEM ones anymore. But yeah, we're just gonna have to see. I don't know. There's nothing more nerve-wracking than an MOT. Even when you've got a car that is new, I always find them slightly stressful because, again, you just don't know what they're going to bring up. Because, let's face it, I don't have a ramp or an inspection pit. You can only look round so far on the floor and on my little lifty ramps. So you never get as good, you know, a good look at everything possible. So now we just have to wait and see for that phone call. Fingers crossed. Let's see how we do. All right, so I am back from the MOT, and it is not good news. We failed, and it's not as necessarily spectacular failure as I was expecting. Let's talk about the positives. So we passed on emissions. Took a little bit of a while, but we got there. So that means the deletion of the pre-cats and the new cat that we installed, 100% fine. That's great. Other advisories, there's the supplementary restraint warning lamp doesn't illuminate. So the SRS system, so airbags doesn't illuminate. Okay, I'm not too sure what that's. It could just be that there's a bit of dodgy wiring. There's the coolant leak that we knew that was going to get highlighted, but these are just advisories. That's not a problem. And let's look at the major defects, shall we? Registration lamp inoperative in the case of a single lamp at all lamps. So that means the light bulbs on the reg plates need to be replaced. Fine, not a problem. The anti-lock braking system warning lamp does not illuminate. I didn't know this thing had ABS. So what they said is that someone has put a sticker over the instrument cluster where the ABS light should be. So I don't know, maybe there's a sensor that's gone or not been installed or something, I don't know. I did wonder why that tape was there, but I just assumed that that was an option that had been deleted from the Punto. And then the big one. Vehicle structure corroded to the extent that the rigidity of the assembly is significantly reduced offside front inner floor. So, it's got a rust problem, but it's not what I was expecting. I didn't think the floor was rusty. I don't think it's that bad, but it's going to be the case when you start poking at rust, it's going to lead to other things. So, I need to figure out where I can get this done. I might need to get this transported up to Auto Alpha to see if they could do it, because they do both MOTs and rust repair. And I'd like to get a new clutch and the gear linkage sorted, but it's quite a lot of stuff. Well, it's not. The problem is I don't know how bad it is. I wasn't able to see the car on the ramp, so you know, it could be just a small hole, it could be a fist-sized hole, it could be the entire section of the floor plan. I don't know until we get in there, but I do know that the Punto is going to be off-road for a while, because I need to find time to get it transported up and find a slot with whoever's going to end up working on it. At least there's no other advisories or anything like that. So the brakes, the brake lines, the fuel lines, the emissions, all of that is good. Rust is this tricky, and I'm gonna have a look at the cluster in a bit and see, is it just the stickers? Is this an old issue? Hopefully I just pull off the sticker and it illuminates and goes off rather than stays on. I hate it when previous owners hide problems. I'm always honest about my cars and say like, hey, just here are all the problems, buy it, don't buy it, because I hate dropping surprises on people. So putting tape over an instrument cluster, come on now. Anyhow, see, I need to figure out what the plan is with this car. Fundamentally, it'll come down to price, because if this is thousands of pounds worth of rust repair, it's just not worth it on this car. As much as I love it, I just don't think I can justify spending thousands of pounds. Hopefully, if it's hundreds, it's fine. Totally get that done, not a problem. Can then do a bunch of upgrades at the same time whilst at Auto Alpha, things like the clutch, gear linkage, that sort of thing. But if it's thousands of pounds, I don't know. I don't know. The only way that I could justify it saying if it was thousands of pounds, that I go really heavy into the rest of the mods. So like £1,000 coilovers, we get some new street racing cams put in, really try and up the power and make this much more of a quote unquote track weapon. We'll have to see. But I'm going to show you the so I don't know if this is going to get picked up, but I just assumed that these squares were just options that weren't available. You see here, you've got a square there, and you've got a little square there. And what I just assumed, perhaps naively, was that those are just options that weren't available on the Punto, and Fiat, in their infinite wisdom, just covered them with a bit of plastic. What it now feels like is that one of the previous owners was being a little bit dodge and hiding that these things weren't working correctly. So, mission one, I think, is to take off those stickers, see what's hiding behind there, and go from there. But I also need to speak with, I think, Auto Alpha and see if they can get it in at any time soon, which means I'm kind of down a car. So I'll take off the stickers off the instrument cluster and see what the issue is there. Fundamentally, that's just, I think, small beans. What we do need to do is get this rust sorted. So I'm going to give Auto Alpha a call on Monday and see when they can get the car in to basically take a look, have a poke around and see how bad it is. If you want to buy a very rusty MOT failure Punto, let me know. We might be able to come to a deal. But hopefully it's not going to cost that much, because I would like to keep this car if at all possible. It does mean that I'm going to be down a car, because as of tomorrow, this will no longer be road legal, because there's a grey area with MOT failures that the MOT expires at the end of today, and even though I failed one, the old one is still technically kind of current-ish, so it means that's why I can do this quick bit of filming. It does mean I'm going to be down a car, which is really kind of frustrating. Yes, I can use the camper van, but that's quite big, and height restrictions on car parks and stuff like that just make it impossible to use in most places. Like I wouldn't be able to get into this car park because of the height restrictions. So yeah, I'm gonna be down a car. Luckily, I'm buying a new car on Sunday. It's only a 2-seater. It's very impractical, deeply stupid, but I'm really looking forward to it. So I can't wait to share what I've bought with you in an upcoming video. But for now, I need to get on the phone and speak with Auto Alpha and see what sort of future there is for this Punto. With that, if you've watched this far, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you consider liking and subscribing. And with that, I'm gonna really kind of think about my rusty Punto, and I'll catch you down the road.